Hey, welcome to a Radiant House Gathering. If you've never been to one of these before, we take time each month to highlight one of our family values, either the Word of God, the Spirit of God, or the mission of God. And, obviously those three things work in perfect harmony with one another. So by focusing on one, we're not saying these are separate or distinct. We're just highlighting one in order to have conversations and to grow in that area. So this month, we're talking about the mission of God. And we're going to give you an opportunity as a house to kind of jump in and get involved in what God's doing. So we've been teaching through the book of Matthew as a church. The big idea of Matthew's gospel is that Jesus is king. And we see in the book that he has authority. He has authority over sickness. He has authority over death. He has authority over demons. He has authority over storms. He has authority to forgive sins. He has authority over pigs. And of course, he teaches with authority a lot in the book of Matthew. And he talks a fair amount about money. And we've been talking for the last few months about Jesus's teachings on money. And it turns out that Jesus is not anti-money. He never condemns someone's income. What he condemns clearly and often are the attitudes that come with a certain level of income. And he's not anti-reward. In fact, he wants us to trust him to reward us. He's not anti-investment. In fact, he commands us, store up for yourselves treasure in heaven. And as we've looked at the teachings of Jesus, we find out that the surest way to store up for yourself treasure in heaven is to invest in the poor and be generous towards the poor. And I've been thinking about this and thinking about the many people in our church who are involved in caring for the poor. Some really creative things going on. So I just wanted to take you on a field trip and introduce you to some people and some ministries that you might not know, and then ask you to get involved as a house group. So now, there's so many things we could highlight. So if your ministry has been excluded, it's not because we don't care about what you're doing, but we want to highlight specifically people who are caring creatively for the poor. I can think of the Hammonds who lead Young Life. I can think of everyone involved at the Pregnancy Care Center and all the situations there. So please, if we've left you out, man, know that you're loved. But I can't wait to introduce you to some of these people and some of these ministries. Andy Rotuno, he and his wife Chelsea and their kids attend Radiant, but they're not from this area. They actually moved here from Burbank. So you've got the challenge. There's a lot going on here. You have the challenge of telling us what's happening here in just a few minutes.
Yeah. Well, basically our mission statement is to feed the hungry of the world physically and spiritually. And we do that by producing three main products. We make a dried soup mix, which is made of peas, lentils, rice, potatoes, pasta, all kinds of good stuff. And we produce dried fruit, peaches and nectarines in the summer, which you're eating right now. And then we do have a small ministry here too, where we produce handmade quilts. So our heart is to produce things that can meet a physical need and equip the church around the world, Christian missions, send these products out and to minister to people spiritually through meeting their physical need.
So where have you sent the soup, the peaches, the quilts? Where's it going?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most of what we send goes internationally. Our heart is to go to the most needy places, right? Yeah. So people that have no social safety net. But just to give you like an idea, the last container that went out this week went to Nicaragua. Wow. It's going into, I think, 13 different trash dumps, and there's communities in there. So they're building schools, building churches, just feeding people. They're trying to share the gospel in those trash dumps. Goes to Eswatini, southern part of Africa, to an orphanage, a community of kind of rescued kids there that are basically given to this orphanage by Child Protective Services equivalent there. They find them in trash dumps. They find them about to get thrown in a river. They rescue them. these kids grow up on Gleaning soup mix.
Wow. Come on.
That is 2 of maybe 40 different partners who will receive our soup mix and fruit and quilts this year. Yeah.
Man. So this is incredibly compelling. Being out here is amazing. How could a house get involved and be a part of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would just say, number one, just come out and visit. We're so close to Radiant. And just by visiting, you can kind of see all that we're doing and all the opportunities.
Yeah.
An easy way is just come and volunteer for a morning. Come and serve. And what you're seeing on this video, help us make soup. Sign up to serve online at gleanings.org. Just give us a shout and sign up for a morning, or just come out and visit.
Yeah. Oh, man. So good to be
Yeah.
with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah,
out
you
here.
bet.
We're here at the Visalia Rescue Mission with Deanne Reimer, who used to be on staff, now serves on the board. There's a number of people in Radiant Church who are also working at the mission. And I know this is really difficult, but you have the task of telling us what the mission does in a matter of minutes.
Okay. So asking me, I didn't grow up in Visalia, so people would talk about the mission before I was involved here, and I would just nod and say, yeah. So now I get to share from an inside view what that really means. So the mission exists to share the gospel with those that are in need in our community. So we do that through serving meals. We do that through shelter. So if somebody has the option of sleeping out on the street, or we definitely have a place for them here, warm bed for them. Another thing that we provide is addiction recovery for people that are struggling with all kinds of addictions, or even chronic incarceration. Sometimes you get kind of stuck in that cycle and you don't really know how to live outside of that. So that's our program is available for that as well. And then other things that we do, we have thrift stores as well to provide vocational training for those that we serve here. So they get an opportunity to learn in a controlled working environment how to function in that way as well, and how to even make mistakes, and having somebody there that's going to help you through that, to make you somebody who can contribute in society again once you leave our care.
Yeah.
So those are the main things that the mission does. And through all of those services, like I said in the beginning, our main goal is to share the gospel, because that's the power of God.
Yeah.
And that's what we believe people need, because people don't change people. We believe that God does that. And so we'd like to introduce them to Jesus here.
Most of us get really overwhelmed by the needs around us. What's a tangible way that people in a house could engage with the Visalia Rescue Mission? Or what would you encourage people to do in order to see what's happening here?
I think the very first step to getting involved here is to come and serve a meal. That's where you're going to get to engage with the community that are all at all different levels in our services here, and just get to see just where people are at. And it's not something, I remember when I first got involved, I was like, how do I talk to people? I mean, I haven't been in this situation myself. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to engage with this. And serving a meal really is a great way to introduce you to that. By giving somebody something and a smile and offering prayer. That happens a lot too when you're engaged in serving in that way. And once you serve a meal here, there are a ton of opportunities. I could list a ton of them. But that's really where you get your foot in the door, and you learn about just this community. And there's other ways you can get involved, but it's easy for families to do that. It's easy for even a whole house to come out and do that together.
Thank you so much for the work, and thanks to those in our church who are working here and connected here. And we're praying for the work of the Visalia Rescue Mission. Hey, so this is Dave Schlick. And many of you know Dave. He's a part of the church. He's been leading teams of people down into Mexico to the Village of Hope for
25 years.
25 years. What, we're inviting people in homes into what God's doing. how did you feel invited into what God's doing down in Mexico? What did it look like for this thing to start?
Well, 25 years ago, I was just married, started having children, and I thought, man, I want to keep doing missions, but I always felt like missions are what just teenagers do when they're in church, and then when they get older, they stop doing it. They go to work and they start doing their life, they get busy, and they no longer really care about missions until their kids are sent off to missions.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to develop a mission where I could take my own children and they could learn to be missionaries right from a young age.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the first trip was designed around family.
Yeah.
And it still has that characteristic now.
Yeah.
And honestly, the reason I first started going was to train people. I wanted to train high school kids how to be missionaries. I wanted to train my own family.
Yeah.
But that all changed about 10 years into it when we went down there and we were encouraged to go see the Mixteco people. And they were just outside of town about 20 minutes, and that trip blew us away. Dave and Kelly were on that trip with us, and we saw children that had huge bellies. The poverty was just shocking. And from that point on, it was no longer about just training leaders to go and developing our people. It was about meeting the needs of the people there.
Yeah.
And that's really why I still go, and that's where that Homes of Hope come from. I want to put people in homes, get them out of that cold environment, help their children to be safe. Even one year we went down there and 3 babies had died from malnutrition in that short period of time. And it was devastating.
Yeah. So you're not a contractor by trade. You just decided I have to do something about this, and you did.
Yeah. I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher by trade, and I just felt like I could start a mission trip.
Yeah.
And the ironic thing is I don't even speak Spanish.
Yeah.
I just found people that did, and we go together.
Yeah.
And God has really honored that.
Yeah.
Just that boldness to go.
Like, how would a house get involved? Like, if people were like, man, I want to do something like that, I guess, how could they get involved with what's happening?
So a couple ways. One is a house could come on our Radiant mission trip for spring break. So just watch what's happening in the bulletin and on the website. Come along with us.
Yeah.
It's for Radiant Church. You'll be able to do VBS. If you want to work with children, you can work with women. You can build a house. We'll do a lot of other ministries. We'll be giving out food. We'll probably grab some food from Gleanings and take it down and give it out as well.
Yeah.
So that's one way. But if your group, like your home group, the couples that are in that want to get together and lead a special trip just with your home group, I'd take all of you down there. We'll build a house together.
Yeah.
One group, one house.
Yeah.
We'll raise the money ourselves, like as a group. We'll just ask people to help us out,
Yeah.
and we'll change a life. We'll transform a whole family
Yeah.
in 5 days.
And there is one afternoon where we go to La Bufadora for tacos.
A little fun. It's not all work. There's some fun.
There's some tacos involved. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, thanks, Dave, for your work.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any more questions, you can find Dave on a Sunday and ask those.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm here with Rachel Triguero, her and her husband, James, along with many other people at Radiant Church, work and serve at Salt and Light. And so the question is, the big question, we're wanting our house gatherings to understand opportunities that they have, but like, what is Salt and Light? Give us the flyover.
Yeah. So our mission is to cultivate community through relationship, dignified jobs, dignified homes, and healing to our neighbors experiencing homelessness. We currently have a food truck that goes out 5 nights a week in Tulare and Visalia, and we bring food to them. And we are in the process of building a village for permanent supportive housing in Goshen.
How did you and James end up connected to the kind of mission and vision here?
Yeah, that's a way longer video. But really, we've been on a 4-year journey of asking God the question, what does it mean for us to be the church? And if Jesus was here, where would he be? And it's kind of been an unlearning of what we feel like we've known or lived. But really, it's been the idea of we actually aren't called to save, fix, or heal people. We're called to love people. And so through that process, we found Salt and Light, and it was really just a God thing. So we're here. Yeah, and we just feel like in reading the Bible, it's like Jesus was always going to the places that feel really uncomfortable to us. Yeah. And maybe with people that are doing things we don't like. And so part of that, that's what we're doing at Salt and Light. We're going to them. We might not agree with everything they're doing, but we're wanting to return people to themselves to find value, worth in themselves so they can feel loved again.
Yeah. Okay, so how would or is there an opportunity if a house was like, oh man, we'd love to get involved? Is there like a good way to get to know what's happening here?
Yes, this is awesome. We just got a new volunteer app called VOMO. We'd love anyone that wants to be involved to join us. The best way is to download it, and then actually you can just search around and find shifts that are available. Most shifts have about 5 people max, and we have 3 shifts 5 days a week. So food truck prep, there's a couple shifts for that, and then people that actually go out with our food truck team. Once the village is built, there is going to be a ton of incredible opportunity. But until then, it's really, we're kind of limited in how many people we can hold at one time. Yeah. But honestly, even things like we have people make us baked goods and drop off cookies because our neighbors experiencing homelessness love sweets. Yeah. Right? We all love comfort sweets. Yes. So there are a lot of creative options, but the most awesome way to have you guys involved would be to pick a shift, whether it's a family, a house, to come down and serve. Yeah. Be awesome.
Thank you for what you're up to. And thanks to all those who are working with and engaged with Salt and Light. And you should consider serving. This is Deborah Avanalis. Her and her husband Gunnar serve as leaders at Radiant. And for a lot of years, they've been leading us to connect with and care for the orphan and the fatherless and those in the foster care system. So they've led Heritage Ministries for a lot of years. But that's given birth to another way that we get to meet needs called Care Portal. Can you tell us like a specific way that Care Portal has worked?
Yes.
Even in the last few weeks?
Yeah. So Care Portal is an online tool where social workers get to share the needs of people in our community who are just needing some tangible help. So they give that to churches. Churches can respond. So we have had numerous responders who have been able to see the need online, say, I can respond to that need and jump in. And one of our most recent ones was we have a mom who has been working really hard to provide for her kids, but just needs some extra help. And so we put a need, or we shared the need on Care Portal, and one woman jumped in and said, I can help, pay for that driver's license. And so she not only paid for it, but took her to the DMV to take her test, and she passed. And now she has a license, and she has that ID that she needs to access different things. Another need that she had was a computer, and that same person was like, I can help provide that. Yeah. And so she did that. And the most important part of that is not just providing the tangible need, but it's making that connection. That's now one other woman in this mom's life that she can call for prayer, that she can talk to, that she can, use as the body of Christ to like love one another, serve one another, meet each other's needs.
Yeah. So how would, let's just say, or not... It's not, a house is watching this, and they're going to pray and make a decision of how they're going to engage. How would someone engage in meeting needs through Care Portal? How does that work?
Well, the sign up is easy, but I think the hardest part to get engaged is to just determine that, like, I'm not going to see this as an interruption, or I'm not going to let the hard overwhelm me. I'm going to see it as an opportunity to serve God, to look at the needs of my community. And from there, just determine, like, I want to help people by the grace of God. And so they can sign up. From there, they'll get emails about the needs in the community. They can decide if they can meet that need tangibly or if they can pray for it. And from there, they can work with other people in their house even to like, hey, I have this, but maybe I can't make this delivery and connection until, a couple days later. Someone else in the group can be like, well, you have it, but I can go and grab someone else to go with them. So we're going 2 by 2, and we're not just delivering like a tangible need, but we're making a connection, because that's what we really care about is making connections in our community, being the hands and feet of Jesus, but also the heart of Jesus to reach out, to be available.
Yeah. Wow. One of the things you could pray about is just, maybe saying, hey, let's together as a house meet 2 or 3 needs this month. That'd be an amazing opportunity, not an inconvenience. You guys, I was overwhelmed as I made my way around and heard stories about what's happening. And I know this is just like the tip of the iceberg. I wish I could share with you all the stories that I heard, but better than sharing with you other people's stories, why don't you go get your own? Why don't you get engaged? Find a place to serve, find a way to devote yourself to God's mission.